This is the BMW XM, and this is a bit of a watershed moment for BMW because this is the first hybrid M product. So that means the first high performance product. I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you right now.
The all-new plug-in M hybrid system pushes out a massive 653 horsepower. Combined, it makes 590 pound-feet of torque.
The XM goes from 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, but if you opt for the label red version, which is a higher output, you're going to get 748 horsepower, 737 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, those are some monstrous numbers.
But let's talk about what the XM is for just a second. A two-row SUV with a 122-inch wheelbase. That's the size of the BMW X7, minus the third row. It doesn't look dissimilar either, but we're not here to jimmy-jack around with how it looks. I've only got a couple hours with the XM, so I'm just going to share with you what it's like from the driver's seat.
Out of the gate, my first impression, this is definitely a cockpit setup for the driver. Everything is oriented toward me. As far as comfort goes, for BMW seats, I'm actually quite enjoying these, and everything is luxury plus. Everything is heated, so it's definitely top of the line, and it's somewhere that you want to spend a whole lot of time when you're driving.
There's a 12.3-inch touchscreen that's equipped with BMW's OS 8. That isn't yet quite my favorite operating system. It's not super intuitive out of the gate, especially the nav. I got lost a couple times, but I'd like to spend more time with this newbie before passing judgment. You also get a 14.9-inch driver information screen. I love how both of these screens integrate into the dash, and you get some buttons for key functions, but it doesn't overwhelm. Excellent. If you're lucky enough to sit in the second row, you've got a ton of space and a really loungy feeling, including cushions that can allow you to sit in the corner and face the person next to you. And of course, you get your own AC zone back here. The Prism headliner, when I first saw it, I wasn't sure how I felt, but I love it. It's different, and there's a great ambient light show when you fire up the car. But let's get back to the good stuff.
To me, the throttle pedal feels a little bit skittish. It has kind of gotten in the way when I've been trying to be really smooth with inputs. But I will say this, when you really put your foot into it, that power is right there, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's been a lot of fun to drive when it comes to the acceleration and its quickness.
Moving all that power around is a chassis that's super rigid and sporty, even in comfort mode. Maybe it was the road and the 22-inch wheel and tire package, but I never quite got a full-on luxury feel. But the M-Line isn't just necessarily about lux, it's about performance. So, buyer, you should level set here.
It comes with an adaptive M suspension, and boy, I mean, you really get your money's worth. Even in comfort mode, there's a tautness and a stiffness, and then you put it in sport and it kind of ratchets things up just a little bit. I can feel almost every imperfection in the road, but that's kind of what I expect, and I'm sure when you take it on a track and it's nice and smooth, I mean, it just really kind of holds everything together, but this definitely has M characteristics.
When it comes to turning and handling, you can call it exceptional. The XM has an active anti-roll system that's tuned perfectly. The transitions around turns are smooth, and there's so little roll on something this big that could feel too heavy really easily. Then you add that ridiculous power, and good night. This thing handles way better than I'd have ever expected.
I actually really like the steering. There are two different settings. One is just comfort setting, one is a sport setting. I love the weight. It feels super precise. When you're carving around turns, there aren't a ton of inputs that you need to do. So as far as its sportiness, I think it really does kind of communicate well from what you're doing onto the road and put you exactly where you want to be. Again, even for such a big vehicle, it really does a great job.
While you can adjust the regenerative braking, there is nothing close to one-pedal driving, which frankly I'd expect from an M car. There's nothing sedate about it. The brake pedal feels solid, and I like its engagement point.
BMW uses an integrated dynamics system that makes everything from the steering, the braking, the chassis, the suspension, everything communicates in concert, and it really does work in this very cohesive way. I really have no complaints. This is a very well put together large SUV.
You can drive in pure EV mode, which allows you a top speed of 87 miles per hour, and it gets you between 50 and 55 miles of range depending on how and where you drive.
When you put it in hybrid mode, that switches very smoothly and very seamlessly back and forth between the engine and the motor. But you can also push this button here and get a little bit more of that exhaust sound, which is so fantastic. You can also, if you want to preserve your electric power, you can put it in e-control mode, which will hold on to that. It is adaptive and predictive. So if you are, say, going down a hill, it will use the hybrid power instead of just focusing completely on the gas motor. So it's really intelligently set up.
There are road and sport modes. Those will adjust driver assistance settings, but when it comes to how you want the XM to feel, those systems like braking, chassis, and steering, you set yourself. The M1 and M2 buttons on the steering wheel are great shortcuts for setups you use a lot. Visibility in the XM is surprisingly good, and you do get BMW's suite of safety features to augment any blind spots you might encounter. You can even get an optional steering and lane control assist and an active cruise control.
If your current car is insufficiently rocket-like and you're looking for something a bit jazzier, then click on the link above and Kelley Blue Book can help you find a fair purchase price on something. This one or something else.
Word to the wise though, you might need to sell a lot of cars because the XM has a starting price of $159,000.
So that's a lot to take in just a little over an hour and a half of driving. But I am super excited for this hybrid technology to make its way across all of the M products, especially the sedans. And boy, I have to tell you, even the competition versions of those sedans, all that lightness, all this power, all that performance, it's going to be really exciting. So subscribe to the Kelley Blue Book YouTube channel and stay tuned for more.